left off. So Gemara says, Iboilahu. So about 8 lines down, so top of Lamed Amud Aleph, Iboilahu, Pligi Rabban Olel Reb Shimon Elazar Olo. Is there machlokes about this issue with the corpse, where he said that basically you measure, even though 4 tefach opening is generally considered sufficient to save the other openings, right? And but here by Og Melech HaBoshen, you have to go with the one that's big. In order for it to save it, it needs to be as big as Og. It needs to be able to allow him to leave in one piece as a dead person to be carried out. So the Rabbanan argue with the Shimon Elazar about this point, or do they not? Okay. And Rashi says, Pliga Rabbanan b'meis babayis. In the case of the dead person in the house, is there a dispute, or is this something that's universally accepted? The Toshma, let's see if we can answer that question. Toshma, come in here. Yom Rabba Barav Chan Amr of Yochanan Og Melech HaBoshen and Pischei Barba. That Rabba Baruch Chana says the name of Yochanan, when it comes to big people like Og Melech HaBoshen who require a different opening than other people in terms of getting that corpse out of the mace, out of the house, the opening is with 4. Sounds like there is a machlokus. So because Reb Shimon Elazar says it's determined by b'miluo, with the size of him, and 4 is not going to cut it. And yet here, the Rabbanan seem to say, even if you do have to cut him up, I mean, it's hard to know how you're going to get him out if it's only 4. But bottom line is, it says Pischei Barba. So that seems to be different. That seems to be the Rabbanan arguing. Now, even though this is Rabbi Yochanan, right? This is not a Tanoic source. This is a source from Rabbi Barav Chan Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So one can ask, what are we doing anyway with this source? This source can't take on Reb Shimon ben Elazar. It doesn't seem to be a Tani here. And the answer is, well, if Rabbi Yochanan said something, must be he had a Tana. He found a Tana that indeed disagreed with Reb Shimon ben Elazar. So where you asked the Shaila, and I'm pretty much answering a Shaila from the fact that Rabbi Yochanan said this halacha, which seemed to differentiate between the Reb Shimon Elazar's opinion and some other opinion, must be there was another opinion, and that there is another opinion, and that there is a machlokes. So the Gemara says, nice try, but no. I can tell you everyone agrees, and Reb Shimon Elazar's statement and Rabbi Yochanan's statement are not in conflict because they're talking about different cases. Hasam dika psachim ketanim tuva. In that case of Rabbi Yochanan, there's many small openings, and there's only one that's 4. You have to look at each case and see what the case is dealing with. If you have a bunch of small openings, less than 4, and one legit 4 tefach opening, well, clearly if you're going to determine where am I going to go, which doorway am I going to widen to take Og Melech HaBoshen out from, I'm going to widen the one that's already wider than everything else. So in determining which is the one Pesach, and again, the reason why this is nogeh is because it saves the other openings. If this is the opening that's deemed to be the opening that this mace is coming out of, then the other doorways are not susceptible to the Tumas Ohel that this one is. Okay, it's not part of the room. It's seen as a separate entity. So Hosam dikub psachim ketanim tuva vika chadavi arba. The vaday kikam ravach bahukam ravach. In that situation, you're certainly going to open up the 4. In Reb Shimon Elazar's case, there were many big openings, and there was just one that matched Og Melech HaBoshen, and it says Reb Shimon Elazar it needed to match Og Melech HaBoshen if you want to save the other openings. If you want to protect the other openings from the laws of Tumah, you better have one that fits this man. And if you don't, then they're all in the same boat. But when you have other ones which don't even make the grade, and one which does in terms of the 4 tefachim, well then that's different. And that will be a case where even Rishon Elazar would agree that you go after the 4.
So when we talk about openings, we're talking about the kli within the opening?
I assume so, yes, because see any other nafkamina, right? I assume so. Let's see here. Or technically a person who's standing with the I guess would be another same idea. Okay, let's see Rashi. We didn't see anybody say that beferish, but that's definitely is the assumption that I'm working with. Psachim kitanim, pesuchim idalit. So in the Rabbi Yochanan's case, which we assume that there was another opinion, the case we're talking about is when there were a bunch of other openings less than 4. And then therefore, and there was one that was 4. Bahu maravach, that's the one you're going to widen. Hilkach matzos al kulon. Therefore protects the other openings. Avakulon shavim bedalid. Obiyuram is okay, but if the other ones are all the same, of either being 4 or all the way up to Yuramis, I guess, I'm not sure why, it just goes, whatever, maybe that's the biggest, because then it's no longer Pesach, it's just a hole in an opening in the, maybe wouldn't be deemed a Pesach anymore beyond Yuramis. Kulan Tameim. But between 4 and 10 Amis, they're all Tamei. Why the Loyadina B'haim Ravach? Because we don't know which one they're going to widen to get this guy out, umapik, and leave. I feel nifsach echad mehen, and even in the case, which now with the aval, he's contrasting it to Reb Shimon Lozer's case. Aval kulon shav medal or biyuram is kulon tamein. But if they're all equal, there's no disparity of a bunch being less than 4 and one being more than 4. If they're all the same, which is the case that Reb Shimon Lezer was talking about, kulon tamei, they're all going to become tamei. Okay, because there's no way of determining which is the one he's going to widen and go out with. I feel nifsach echad mehen v'acherim segurim. Even if one of these doorways is open and the other ones are closed, or he clearly has a plan to take them out of one, but it's not based on the fact that it's more prone to fit this guy, if that's not the basis, but maybe it's just because one door is open and one door is closed, or because he has a particular plan to take him out of this door. He says, the Tam Gemara who Tam Evikul Tahirin, okay, which we said in that situation, typically one would be Tameh. Okay, no, so apparently that would work, and the rest would be tar. If, let's say, for example, they were all closed, all the other doors were closed, one was open, or there was a thought process to take him out of one particular door. Okay, where the Gemara there says it's a Mishnah that the Gemara in Be'ah quotes of Hu Tamei V'Kulan Tahirin. Okay, what's that little aleph? Okay, just know he refers you to another Gemara. That's only true, and this is the qualification of Shimon Lezer. If that doorway that's open, or the one that he thought about to take him out on, is fitting for him to go out smoothly. I feel kulu chazilei. Even if the other ones are also fitting, but either he planned for this one, or the doors are closed. Okay, but if there's not one, if the one that he thought about or the one that's open is not fitting for him to go through, or boim ravach, v'kul and shavin, and it needs to be widened, and they're all basically the same in that regard. Lo yadina boim ravach, you don't know which one he's going to do. In which case, that makes them all susceptible, and they're all tamei. So it's all. Bottom line is that Rav Shimon is introducing us to the concept that yes, there are ways of specifying the one opening, but it's only if he can fit there. If he can't fit that opening, and even Og Melech HaBashan, who requires a bigger opening, I don't mind you directing one particular opening to be that opening, but he's got to fit through that opening. If it's going to require a widening, then I don't know which one he's going to widen, then that changes the whole nature of the halacha, in which case it does not save the other openings. Everyone, they're all considered in the same boat, and anything in that area within that opening would be tamei. Okay, so we dabbled in the world of Tumah here for a little bit. Now we go back to Eruvin. Amar of Chia Barashi, Amar Rav. Back to the Gemara. So Rav Chia Barashi's quote says the name of Rav, Basar, Ma'arvin Basar Chai. You're allowed to use raw meat to make an Eruv, as we said yesterday as well. And we said that there are people, even in our times, that actually enjoy raw meat. Okay, or maybe it's talking about salted meat, which maybe goes down a little bit easier. Amr of Shimi Barachia Ma'avim Bebeitzim Chayot. You can also make an erev with raw eggs. The kama, how many raw eggs are enough to make an erev? Amr of Nachma Yitzchak Sinai Omar Shtayim. So Rav Yosef, who is called Sinai, as opposed to Eiker Harim, which was expression. Who was it? Was a rabbi, I think it was, who was the counterpart to Rav Yosef in determining the greater qualities in another Gemara. So they called him Sinai because he had this vast knowledge of everything that was taught. So Shtayim, he says, Rav Yosef says that the answer is, you want to know how many eggs you need to put into an erev? 2 raw eggs will cut it. What are you going to do with a raw egg? Well, you could eat a raw egg. Ask any baritone. Okay. Let's see, Rashi. Sinai, Kori of Yosef. Right? That's what Lefishay Baki b'Mishnayis and Brises. Rav Yosef was a Baki in Mishnayis and Brises, and therefore they call him Sinai, and he says 2 raw eggs. So again, you see meals in those days weren't as big as maybe one would imagine. So 2 eggs cut it. That's, I guess, 1 egg per meal. Okay, we're ready for the next part of the Mishnah. If you make a neder from mazon, from foods that satiate, that are, real foods, then you're mutter with mayim and with salt, because they're not designated as mazon. They're not judged to be mazon in terms of nourishing you and nurturing you and filling you up. So let's see here how this works. So, Melech Hamayim Hudlo Ikra Mazon. It sounds like the Mishnah is telling you that if just like mazon doesn't, the water and salt don't count for an erev, they don't count for a neder that talks about mazon, that refers to foods that nourish. So it sounds like only salt and water are out. Melech Mazon Hudlo Ikra Mazon. Melech Hamayim Hudlo Ikra Mazon. Hakol Midi Ikra Mazon. But everything else would be called mazon, nourishing food. This is a refutation to Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel, okay, unlike other people who say that maybe there are other foods that would fit into the category of mazon, Rav and Shmuel say the only foods that fit into the category of mazon are the 5 grains. Right? Wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and rye. Those 5 grains are mazon. Anything else is not mazon. Well, that seems to fly in the face of the Mishnah. Clearly says everything is mazon. So again, I'm not sure what the machlokes in brachas is about rice. I'm not sure why it's not a refutation on every opinion, because it's not just rice that we want to include. We want to include pretty much everything besides salt and water. So, but for sure we want to knock out Rav and Shmuel from this Mishnah, to which the Gemara responds, well, I mean, what? It's a little overkill. We already refuted them. Back in the Gemara, we refuted their opinion, and that's why we make a bar minei mizonos on rice, because even though it doesn't fit in, it's not one of the 5 grains, but you could be another food and have the mazon quality. Well, so what are you looking to already, knock him out again? I mean, you already knocked him out once. What's the big deal? Well, yeah, it is important. If I can give him a double knockout blow, I know he's out for sure. You never know. One knockout blow they can always come back. So, do I have a second knockout blow here that this Mishnah does refute them? To which is, if you want the second knockout blow, you're not going to get it today. Sorry. Why? Because Amar Huna bi'oimek kol hazon alai. When a person says kol hazon alai, that all foods that fill you up and that somehow satiate, that's upon me as a neder, right? That language of kol hazon alai is the lush of a neder. And you're prohibiting all food that are zon. And we'll see that as opposed to mazon. There is a difference there. So Amar Huna bi'oimek kol hazon alai. So when a person says that kind of a neder, that's what we're referring to. Okay, that's not zon, salt and water, but everything else has the zon ability and the zon quality. So if you're focusing on zayin or zon, that aspect, yes, everything else is included, and that's what the Mishnah is referring to, and that's not what Rav and Shul are referring to. Rav and Shul were referring to the mazon, bari minei mizonos. To be in the mazon category, you need a higher threshold, and that's only the 5 grains. So you haven't knocked me out because we're talking about a different word and a different quality. Really? Is that really true? Vama Rabba Barav Chana. Rabba Rav Chana says, Keve Azilna Basreid Rav Yochanan Mechel Per de Genusar. Okay, when I went after Rabbi Yochanan, as he would walk the orchards of Genusar, a place near Tiberia, which had incredible fruits, Kiavinam Bei Meya, when 100 people would escort him to take his little walk, he would give each person 10 fruits. 10 times 100 would be 1,000, so 1,000 total fruits. Kiavina be'asara, when we would walk with him with 10 people, okay, he would take 100 fruits. So the number was always 1,000, and they would distribute it depending on the numbers of the people, how much you get. So the smaller the crowd, the better. If you had only 10 people, you walked away with 100 fruits. And every 100 fruits wouldn't be able to even be put into a basket of 3 saws. So it was big fruits, it was gewaldige fruits, and they would they would take them home with them. Okay, and he would Rabbi Yochanan would eat his portion completely, which could have been up to 100 fruits, or depending on the crowd. Seemed like he was part of the 1,000, I imagine. Yomar, and he would say after eating all these fruits, up to 100 fruits in certain times, and he says, I swear I'm not full. I'm still hungry. So fruits are do not seem to be the food that is zon. Okay, the loitoim li ziyuni. I haven't really felt nourished. I feel still hungry. So that sounds like based on this story that even zon aspect, even under the rubric of zon, these other things don't have that quality. You're making a distinction between mozon and zon. This seems to be even zon on the aspect of zon. You don't seem to cut it with the fruits. So that seems to fly in the face of your answer. So he says, Ema mizona. So no, you don't have the right story or the right quote. He didn't say lo toim li ziyuna. He says lo toim li mizona. And again, so what he was saying is that while all these delicious fruits are great, they don't have the mozon quality. I'm not nurtured properly. I don't have the right nourishment and the right nurturing, to sustain the body. Sustaining the body and filling up the body, 2 separate things. On the sustaining level, you got to be from the 5 grains, or the Gemara Brachos have answered to rice as well. But on the zon category, everything other than salt and water would be included. So there is no steer from this whole little sugya to Rav and Shmuel. So indeed, all we have is one refutation. We don't have a second one based on today. Okay, let's see Rashi. Slightly above the middle of the page. Do we not already knock them out once? In the 6th parak of brachas, we already delivered a knockout blow. So, we want to deliver a second knockout blow. Well, the answer is you can't. Okay, the case of our Mishnah is where he used the expression zon. When our Mishnah says that everything is prohibited to this guy other than salt and water, which parallels the halacha in the Mishnah of Eruv, that you can use everything for an Eruv except for salt and water. He didn't say that mozon should be prohibited to me. Okay, when it comes to the word mozon, that only is reserved for the 5 minim, okay, which are a type of grain, designy, because they fill you up, visadi liba, and they somehow give you a sense of nourishment or sustaining quality that is good for the heart, it's good for your body. It's got the the nutrition aspect as well that sustains you for the long haul. What's a little test? Okay, Ella Kigon, but rather, what is the case? So in that case, Avada Rav and Shmuel could be right and nothing to do with our Mishnah. El Goindam Yosa like Kol Azon. But in our Mishnah, the case is he said what should be prohibited to me is all that gives you satisfaction. It gives you zon. It gives you a sense of feeling you ate. The mashma kol dovar masbia. If it satiates you, right, doesn't have to nurture you, doesn't have to sustain you, but it fills you up. Okay, the whole mili zayin, because all foods have that quality of filling you up, except for salt and water. Avam misad lo sadi, but it doesn't give you that sustaining level of long-term nourishment. The way mikra mozon is not called mozon. So there's this subtle difference between feeling full and stooping up yourself, and and like parents say to the kid all the time, well, if you eat your protein, then 2 more spoonfuls of the protein, and then I'll give you dessert. So the desserts can fill you up, as we know. If anybody binged on a box of Entenmann's knows that, but it will not sustain you. Well, actually, that will sustain you because that's mozon. Okay, but something else like fruits won't have the mozon quality, although we'll have the zon quality. Okay. Kenusar eretz yam kineret to perasel metukins, very sweet fruit from the land around the Kinneret River. Okay. The lo toim li ziyuno. Okay, so after he ate all these fruits, what did he say? It seems like I'm not full. Lo achalti l'sova. I'm not satiated. V'dayin ani rava. I'm still hungry. So Gemara says, sorry, I hear you got a good point from the story, but the story is not the way it went down. It didn't go down the way you said it went down. So he just corrects the girsa to what we have. He had a different girsa, which he corrected to say, no, it didn't say lo tomli ziyuna, but he said lo tomli mezayna. Meaning I didn't have mazon, I don't have that satiated, that nurtured, nourished feeling of being sustained, positively with the food, because I'm still missing something, because I don't have any of the 5 grains. Okay, ready to go weiter. Right before the wide lines, Rav Huna, Rav. Rav Huna says the name of Rav. Shua shoy oichal kikazu. The man makes a shua not to eat from this bread. Ma'arvin loibo. Okay, then you can still make an eruv. Just because he's not going to eat from the loaf of bread doesn't mean somebody else can't eat from the loaf of bread. So therefore, it's still a good eruv. However, you say kikazu alai. Okay, if you say this piece of bread is usher to me, a marvin loibo. Rav says there you can't make the eruv because it's beyond just the question of eating, where somebody else can eat it. But if it's a question of hana, then aren't you getting hana if you use this bread for an eruv? So doesn't that mean you are getting hana? It does not mean you therefore cannot use that eruv because it's a different connotation. So look at Rashi. Ma'arvin loiba neder ela me'achila, because all you did was you prohibited from eating it. Okay, v'imishum deloy chazil. And if you're going to argue, well, okay, but don't you have to eat from the eruv in order to make a valid eruv? If you're not going to eat from the eruv, then how is it going to work? Chazil achrini. It's just, right? We just had the case of a nazir with wine. He can make an eruv with the wine, even though he's not going to drink from the wine, but somebody else can drink from the wine. So we already established that that's not a make or break issue, that you have to be able to consume the eruv, as long as someone else can. But getting benefit from there is a whole different story. Kika Zulai, next Rashi, Mashma Koldova Hanoasa Kosala, he prohibited any type of benefit from the kikar. In that case, you are getting benefit from the kikar because it's allowing you to walk that much further, or to carry in this area, whatever that you're doing with the eruv chatzeros, eruv tchumin, whatever it is, you're getting benefit from it. So that's a different story. And then the answer would be no. Okay, really, says the Gemara, Meisvei. Let me attack this statement of Rav from this following brisa. Hanoidim in a kikar, if a person makes a neder from this kikar to Tosefta in the second parak, yeah, hanoidim in a kikar, ma'arvin loiba, okay, you still can make an erev. So it sounds like the neder sounds like the same thing as kikar zu alai. My love, the amr alai, that he said the words alai, which implies asur b'hana. In which case, that would be a direct, clear-cut disagreement with Rav's statement, which was just quoted. Amar Vuna Marav. Mora says, no, that's not the pshat. The words hanoidim and akika did not mean you said a lie. Lo d'ama zu. He said zu. And zu is referring to achila. And I'll prove to you. Okay, let's do the two Rashis. My lav d'amar lie. Ushmamina, right? If you learn the Bryce as it implies, as it seems to be, Ushmamina loy aser inishadaita ella derech ikranosa. Right. So what's the proof? What are you proving? I said Rav's logic was a good logic. Are you allowed to have benefit from the Erev? So like, what are you trying to refute exactly? What's the logic to not agree with Rav? So Rashi gives us one glimpse of the logic. Ushmamina, we can derive from it, when a person says, this item is usher to me, like a carbon or like something, like you have to be matfis to something else, when what you're focusing on in your thought process is the main type of benefit. And the neder only applies to food, just like the shua, that I'm not going to eat this stuff. Even by neder, we're proving that that's the same thought process. It's the same focus. Nothing changes. In which case, Rav, you're wrong. You're trying to say there's a difference between a neder which is hana versus a shur which is achila. It's not true. Even a neder is only hana, is only achila. In which case, that will be the point of disagreement. To which one is okay. I see where you're trying to go with this, but that's not the pshat. Loy do amar zu. Shur shloy achal kikazu. Meaning he swore not to eat this particular piece of bread. So we're moving it from a neder, which still we're maintaining implies hana, to a shur, which implies achila on do not eat this item. And if it's only achila, then somebody else could eat it, and you didn't prohibit it hana, and you're good to go. The Gemara says, not only is my answer a legitimate answer, back to the Gemara, I'm going to prove that my answer is the right answer. Okay, which when you think about it, when you can prove that your answer to the question is right, then it becomes an attack on the other mandiyama, right? So let's see here. So Meisvei one more time. Been a kika marvin loy ba. My have done a lie, which would have been a refutation. Lo dama zu. Okay, the case is he said zu, which now instead of a question now becomes a proof. So I'll prove to you that he said zu, and that it was only referring to achila and not to hana. And if that's the case, then you actually flipped it to have a support to Rav. Instead of a kasha on Rav, it actually would become a support to Rav. How are you going to prove that that's the case? I'll prove to you Diktani, because it says Seifa in the Seifa of that very brisa, it says when do we say that you are not allowed? That you are allowed to make an erev from that kikar. It was I make a sure I will not eat it. I will not taste from it. I will omar a lie. But if he says a lie, my hochnami de marvin ba. Hochinam istavra. The Tani Seif emphasizes man shama shua shlotamena. I will omar lie my hochnami de marvin loy ba. Okay, so I'm proving to you. What am I proving? Since it says Bisman Shama Shur Shataman, that it's a shur that I will not taste from it. I've Omer a lie, but I'm
He's just generally saying that it's asur to me.
Yeah, so that's right. So right, so I'm inferring. Okay, right. This is right. This is a proof exactly to what Rav said. Okay, yeah. I've Omer a lie. My hachnami de marvin. Okay, but But the inference is that if you would make a general statement of general prohibition, okay, the halacha would be you don't make an eruv, proving Rav's position that when you make a general statement, you're not focused on the achila specifically, but you focus on all benefits which would negate the eruv from coming into play. So the l'chara, we've proven that the pshat that Rav said is indeed supported. More said, well, short-lived proof. Because Mor says, "Iachi," well, slow down. If that's the case, if you're right that you want to make a distinction between eating versus general hana, and you want to say by general hana, Rav is right that you cannot make an eruv in that situation. Iachi, if that's the case, adatani kikazu hegdish. When the brisa continues and it says that if you say kikazu hegdish eimarvin leiba, you cannot make an eruv when you make an item hegdish. Why the fish arvin begdeshes? Because you can't make an eruv with something that's prohibited to everybody. When something is hegdish, nobody can have an off from it. So isn't it interesting that you have to run to a case of hegdish to find a case where the eruv doesn't work? If you were right, why do you have to run to a case of hegdish? Liflog l'sabedidah. But why don't you split the case itself into the very split that you are now proposing is inherent in the brisa, and say as follows: Medva murim domazu. When are these words said? When you use the word zu, that's when you cannot use the eruv because you're clearly referring to achila. Avol. But if you say a lie, right, then you say explicitly, then you cannot make the eruv. Why are you running to Hegdish to show me a case where the eruv doesn't work? Why don't you talk about the case that you're proposing, which is much more relevant? It's not moving off to a whole different category. It's within the same framework of language of a non-Hegdish situation. So it would be much more appropriate to talk about non-Hegdish and say, all you got to do is contrast zu to a lie, and when it's a lie, it's a neder. If it's a neder, it doesn't work because it answers the hana to the guy. And where it says, Ravuna says, come on. Ravuna will come back and say, well, elamai. What are you going to say? Kolecha da amar alai ma'arvin. Okay, but if you're going to, so what do you want to say? That you want to say that this proves that the lie. You could make an eruv, and the only right you want to go back to your initial assertion that this brisa is a question on Rav, and that even a lie would be a non-acceptable eruv because asaba no. If that's where you want to go with that, kasher. Well, then my proof to you is still solid from the ratio. Why do you pick a case of atamena? Right, you should have told me a case of a neder, which is a more broader case. So anyway, something is messed up here because clearly the language of the Reisha supports Rav. It seems to focus purely on eating, and the Sefer seems to support not Rav. Doesn't seem to be against Rav, and it supports the assertion that the only time the eruv cannot work would be in a case of hegdish, and everything other than hegdish would work. So b'chal, you got a kasher Reisha to Sefer. So I don't know why you feel smug here. Anyway, this is a difficult brisa. To which the Gemara comes back, no, I have an easy way of wiggling out of the brisa, which Rav apparently wouldn't have. I can answer you, I can tell you that in this brisa, all you got to do is use the chsur mechsura concept, which works much easier in a non-Rav position. And I'll tell you like this, and I'll show you how the brisa reads. This is how you would read the brisa in my world, in the non-Rav world. If a person makes a neder from a kikar, not to eat the kikar, the halacha is you can make an eruv with it. Because somebody else could eat it. And hanaz never came into the picture. I feel amar a lie. And even if it said a lie, a neder, which was more broader gesundheit, it becomes no different than a shua that says I will not eat it. Okay, and because we're going to interpret the neder exactly the way Rav didn't interpret the neder, that it's focused on eating. Okay, so Lamais, if you learn that way, I have a good wiggle out of the brisa and you don't. So you seem to be in a problem, Rav Huna Amar Rav. You seem to be up against it. Now that I've resolved my position, Kashal Rav Huna. So Maisa, how are you going to get out of it? It's a Kashal Rav Huna. The answer is Hudam or Rabbi Elazar. The answer will be that Rav Huna learns like Rabbi Elazar. The Tanya Blazo Eimer, so that all I got to do is find another Tana, and I can hang my hat on that Tana. And that's what Ravuna is going to do, supporting Rav. What's that other Tana? Rabbi Loza says in his Brisa, the Tanya Rabbi Loza Eimer, Shua Shloi Eichel Kikazu Marvin Leiba. If you make a shua about eating, you can't make an erev. Kikazu Alai Ein Marvin Leiba. But if you say Kikazu Alai, then Mamish Beferish Rabbi Eliezer, the Tana, is saying exactly what Rav was quoted by Ravuna is saying. So he's got a nice support, while the other Brisa Taka, fits in better the other way. But it's good enough. I get Rabbi Elazar as a Heiligatan, and it's good enough for me. Let's catch up in the Rashis here. Hegdish, right? We're up to Hegdish. Lo d'omar harezu shua shel ochel kikazu. Right, so zu is the shua. Right, okay. So hegdish vadei asa b'chol hanoz v'enoroylo shemodam. Hegdish is certainly prohibited in all to all benefits to all people, and nobody is able to use the erev. And in the case where nobody can use the erev, then everyone is going to agree it's not a good erev. Elamai, b'didei b'kikar shel chulin. B'kikar shel chulin. Right, why would you have to run to Hegdish? If you were right, you should have split it within a non-Hegdish scenario. Okay, Elamai, Marvin. So what are you trying to infer? That therefore, anytime he says a lie, it's a good Erev, because of the logic that Rashi told us already before, that even a neder only applies to Achila, or Kasha. Well, then you're going to have a problem with the Reisha. Okay, what do you do with the Reisha? It seems to say the only time the Erev is valid is when you make a shua, I will not eat or taste from the bread. The mashma ha'amr lai loy. Okay, that seems to imply that if you say the neder, it doesn't work. So either way, you've got a contradiction. The Hegdish part seems to go against Rav. The Atamena part seems to support Rav, so it's anyway kasha racial sefer. To which Gemara says no. Mishani holokasha, that part that say that I'm also up against it. No, I'm not up against it. Because I can tell you that there are words missing, and there's a easy, smooth way of rereading the brisa in a totally non-Rav mahalach. Okay, ad. Right, so basically the Bryce, by adding these words, clearly is supporting the notion that we're not going to answer a neder, only answers achila, and Rav is not correct, and therefore it is a valid erev. Even by neder, it's a valid erev. Okay, this caught up on the Rashis, and we've got to call it a day. Shkayach.